movie opens in 2023, a world that has completely fallen apart. Powerful robots called Sentinels are ruthlessly hunting down not just mutants, but even the humans who once helped them. Huge pods crash down from the sky. Sentinels emerge and begin their deadly attack. Chaos erupts as mutants scramble to survive. Cut to China, where a jet touches down in the snowy mountains. Out step some of the most iconic mutants: Professor Charles Xavier, Storm, Wolverine, and Magneto. They reunite with Kitty, Bishop, and a few other survivors. Strangely, the mutants who just died in Moscow are alive again. It's revealed that Bishop was warned of the attack ahead of time through Kitty's time-link powers. Professor Xavier explains the desperate plan. Kitty has the ability to send someone's consciousness back into the past. If they can send someone not just days but decades back, they might stop the creation of the Sentinels before it even begins. The Sentinel program was first developed by Dr. Bolivartrask, who experimented on mutants and used their abilities to fuel his research. One mutant, Raven, also known as Mystique, discovered his work and tried to stop him at the Paris Peace Accords in 1973. She killed Trask but was captured. In her DNA, scientists found the key to her shape-shifting powers, which allowed them to design machines that could adapt to any mutant ability. That one event set off the chain reaction leading to the nightmare of 2023. The X-Men realize they need to change history, but Kitty warns the journey could tear someone's mind apart. Only a mutant with rapid healing powers might survive. That's where Wolverine steps in. He agrees, despite knowing that some of them may never even be born if history changes. Wolverine asks what happens once he's back in 1973. Xavier tells him he must find the younger version of Charles himself. But there's a catch. Charles had lost his powers at that time, so Wolverine will also need Magneto's help. If this works, the past and present will run simultaneously, like the last 50 years never happened. Wolverine is warned that he won't have much time in the past before the Sentinels find them. Then everything fades, and he wakes up on a waterbed in a small 1970s-style apartment. Looking out the window, he realizes he's in New York, 1973, a completely different world from the one he left. A man yells at him about guarding the boss's daughter and not sleeping with her. Wolverine brushes it off, muttering, "That was the old me," before telling him he's been sent from the future. The man advises him to lay low for a few days. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., Dr. Bolivartrask presents his Sentinel program to Congress, warning that mutants will replace humanity if nothing is done. The senators dismiss his claims as exaggerated, saying mutants are too few to pose a real threat, and they reject his proposal. Trask leaves frustrated but still determined to push his plan forward. Across the world in Saigon, Colonel Sanders meets Major William Stryker at a military camp where several mutant soldiers, Havoc, Toad, Ink, and an unidentified mutant, are being held for transfer to Trask Industries, but Sanders is actually Mystique in disguise. She announces the troops are going home, revealing her identity as Raven. Stryker presses her about Eric, but she says she's on her own now. When asked if she's coming with them, she replies, "My war's not over." Back in New York, Wolverine drives to the X-Mansion to find Charles Xavier. The once proud estate now looks abandoned. At the door, he's met by Hank McCoy, who tries to turn him away. Wolverine pushes inside, but Hank transforms into his blue beast form and attacks, leading to a violent fight between the two. As it ends, Wolverine smirks, "You and I are gonna be good friends." Then Charles Xavier appears, walking unaided. Wolverine is shocked, but Charles responds coolly. Wolverine explains that he was sent to the past by none other than Xavier himself. 50 years from now, Charles is skeptical, but Wolverine proves it by revealing details about Charles's childhood that he's never told anyone. At least, not yet. Wolverine tries to convince Charles that they have to stop Raven before it's too late. Charles, exhausted and bitter, says he just wants to wake up from all of this. Wolverine explains that Trask weaponized Raven's DNA, turning her powers into the foundation for the Sentinels. "I've been in a lot of wars," Wolverine says, "but I've never seen anything like this." Charles admits Raven won't listen to him anymore. That's why, Wolverine argues, they'll also need Magneto because Eric would never turn his back on someone who has lost their way. Hank quietly reveals the truth about Charles. After losing so many students to the Vietnam War and watching his school close, Charles spiraled into despair. He started using a serum Hank developed. It allows him to walk again, but at the cost of suppressing his telepathic powers. The serum became an escape from his pain. At first, Charles rejects Wolverine's plea, but Wolverine keeps pushing, and eventually Charles agrees to help. They'll need Magneto too, but he's locked in the most secure prison in the world, built during World War II beneath the Pentagon. Accused of assassinating President Kennedy, Wolverine, Charles, and Hank set their sights on breaking him out. Meanwhile, Mystique, disguised as Trask, sneaks into his office at Trask Industries. She rifles through his private documents and discovers schematics for the Sentinel program and autopsy reports on mutants he's used as test subjects. Among the gruesome images, she recognizes fallen allies like Azazel and Angel Salvador. A tear escapes her as she takes in the loss. When Trask's secretary walks in, Mystique quickly shifts back into Trask's appearance, accepts a file to maintain her cover, and leaves. To free Magneto, Wolverine, Charles, and Hank seek out Peter Maximoff, better known as Quicksilver. They track him to his suburban home near DC. At first, Peter teases them, asking if they're FBI or cops and joking about showing off his powers. But when Wolverine mentions breaking into the Pentagon, Peter's interest sparks. "What's in it for me?" he asks. "You get to break into the Pentagon," Wolverine replies. Inside the Pentagon, chaos follows as they move to extract Magneto. Peter's super speed leaves guards stunned, moving so fast he holds their necks mid-run to prevent whiplash. As the alarms blare and the floor is evacuated, Magneto is freed from his glass cell. "You're the last person I expected to see today," Eric says bitterly to Charles. Old wounds surface. Magneto accuses Charles of abandoning their fellow mutants and pretending to be something he's not. "Mutant brothers and sisters, all dead," he says. "Where were you, Charles? We were supposed to protect them." The story shifts to Paris, where Mystique is working under yet another disguise. In a dim, lavish nightclub, a Vietnamese general drinks and laughs with Russian officers, unaware of the danger at his table. Thinking he's in control, the general invites the disguised Mystique to his private room, expecting an intimate encounter. Once alone, she reveals her true form and, in a swift move, pins him to the floor with her foot at his throat until he loses consciousness. As he lies defeated, Mystique spots an official invitation to an upcoming political summit in Paris. Without hesitation, she takes it, the next step in her plan. Meanwhile, aboard a jet carrying Charles, Wolverine, Hank, and Magneto, old rivals pass the time playing chess. For them, the game is more than a pastime. It mirrors their clashing philosophies. Magneto tries to convince Charles that he never murdered President John F. Kennedy. On the contrary, he says he tried to prevent the assassination, believing Kennedy himself might have been a mutant. The revelation only deepens the uneasy trust between them. When the day of the international summit arrives, the team moves to intervene before Mystique can strike. Charles, Magneto, Hank, and Wolverine infiltrate the building just as Dr. Bolivartrask and William Stryker arrive with blueprints for the Sentinel project and a powerful mutant detection device. Security is tight. The device can expose anyone with the X gene. The tension rises as the two groups converge, each with their own agenda. The attempted assassination and the public display of mutant powers send shockwaves through the US government. Inside the White House, Trask and Stryker meet with President Richard Nixon and senior officials. Trask seizes the moment, warning that Mystique is the ultimate threat. She could impersonate a Secret Service agent or even the president and launch a nuclear strike. He argues passionately that mutants are too dangerous to ignore, and that capturing Mystique will give them the key to defeating her kind. Nixon, shaken, authorizes full funding for the Sentinel program. Soon after, Trask's scientists collect a sample of Mystique's blood from the street, believing her DNA will unlock the ability to make Sentinels adaptable to any mutant power. Back at the mansion, Charles begins losing the use of his legs again. But with that loss, his telepathic powers start to return. Hank offers him the serum that would let him walk but suppresses his gift. This time, Charles refuses. He understands that his powers are too essential in the fight to come. In the dark, underground corridors, Charles struggles. "When was the last time you were down here?" someone asks. "A lifetime ago," he answers, trembling. Raven is wounded and won't be moving fast, but Charles can barely focus. "I can't do this," he says, clutching his head. "My mind," Wolverine steadies him. "Yes, you can." Charles apologizes, convinced they sent back the wrong man. But Wolverine reminds him, "Actually, it was supposed to be you. I was your most helpless student." He admits he can't fix Charles himself, but knows someone who can. "Some of them finish what we started one day, Wolverine," Charles murmurs. Wolverine presses him. "The greatest gift we have is hope. Charles, we need you to hope again." Meanwhile, Magneto infiltrates Trask Industries, uncovering Sentinel blueprints. Determined to control the machines, he bends metal rails and fuses them into the Sentinels being transported on a train, ensuring the robots will obey him alone. At the same time, Bobby suggests rescuing Rogue from a facility where she's being held, so she can replace a weakened Kitty and keep Wolverine's consciousness anchored in the past. Magneto agrees and they set off, hoping Rogue is still alive. With renewed strength, Charles re-enters Cerebro and locates Mystique at an airport. Speaking through bystanders, he pleads with her not to continue her mission. She resists, believing her violent path is necessary. Through another's eyes, Charles sees she has a ticket to Washington. "I know exactly what I have to do," she thinks. "If you make me, I will stop you." Charles can only reply, "Good luck." The day of the Sentinel unveiling arrives. President Nixon prepares to present the machines as America's ultimate defense against mutants. Wolverine, Charles, and Hank arrive, hoping to intercept Mystique before it's too late. As the president speaks, Magneto makes a dramatic entrance, lifting the entire RFK Stadium and dropping it around the White House like a steel barricade. Panic erupts as soldiers scramble. Charles spots Mystique disguised as a Secret Service agent, gun drawn, ready to assassinate Trask. He focuses his power, trying to stop her mentally as the Sentinels begin to stir. "They found us," someone whispers. The final showdown is about to begin. Magneto surrounds the White House with the RFK Stadium, lifting it like a massive barricade. He confronts the humans directly, warning them that their fear of mutants has led to the creation of weapons meant to destroy them. "You built these to destroy us because you fear our gifts," he says. "Today was meant to show your power, but instead, you see what we can unleash. Anyone who stands in our way will suffer the same fate." His declaration is as much for mutants hiding in plain sight as it is for the world. They will no longer live in shame or fear. Meanwhile, Mystique, disguised as a Secret Service agent, aims her gun at Trask. Charles reaches her telepathically. "You can show them a better way," he urges. "Everything that happens now is in your hands. I have faith in you." For a tense moment, she considers her violent plan, but slowly, she lowers her weapon. Magneto watches from afar as the standoff resolves without bloodshed. Charles lets him go, telling Wolverine that even Magneto still has hope. Later, Wolverine awakens at the Xavier Institute to a world full of life and hope. Friends long thought dead. Rogue, Kitty, Iceman, Colossus, Storm, and even Jean Grey with Cyclops walk the halls teaching students. An older beast greets him warmly, and Wolverine marvels at how different everything feels. Charles smiles and says, "Welcome back. We have a lot to catch up on." Wolverine recalls nearly drowning and being pulled from the water by Stryker. But a flash of yellow eyes reveals the truth. Mystique saved him. The future has been rewritten, hope restored, and mutants can finally live openly in a safer world.